allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call.
Councilmember Erby? Here. Councilmember Page?
Here.
Councilmember Wassinger? Here. Councilmember Gray?
Present.
Councilmember Dolan?
Here.
Councilmember Tracus?
Present.
Councilmember Harder?
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
I move for approval of the journal of the meeting of November 14, 2017,
Second.
and approval of the journal of the St. Louis County Council special meeting of November 14, 2017, the public hearing for the fiscal year 2018 budget.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have no bid openings, so we'll move to communications.
Mr. Chair, there are no tax compromises this evening, so we'll move to zoning matters. Under zoning matters, item number 1, 4th District.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
We have nothing under road and bridge matters this evening, Mr. Chair, so we'll move to other communications. Under other communications, item number 1.
Same motion, and that will be the order.
Item number 2, 2nd District.
Receive, file, and the matter be held on the order of business, and that will be the order.
Item number 3, 1st District.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Item number 4.
Receive, file, and the county council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, and that will be the order.
Item number 5.
Receive and file, and that will be the order. Same motion for number 6.
Item number 7.
Receive, file, and the county council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. Same motion for item number 8, and that will be the order.
Item number 9, 4th District.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered. Please read the add-ons.
Item number 1, all districts.
Receive, file, and the county council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, and that will be the order.
Item number 2, 1st District.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered. Report of the county executive.
Nothing further this evening.
Thank you. Report of special committees, no special committees, so we'll proceed to public forum.
We have 9 speakers this evening, Mr. Chair.
Okay, tonight we have 9 speakers. When the name's called, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
First speaker this evening is Joyce Hill.
Hello, my name is Joyce Hill, and I reside in St. Peters, Missouri. I work for the St. Louis County Police Department. I work in the finance office, and some of you have seen me today at the budget meeting, so I appreciate that you're here and that you're here to hear me, because I know it's been a long day. The reason I felt I wanted to come up here and say something is that I've been doing the budget for 21 years. I've worked here for 21 years. I've worked under some great leaders. I've worked with a lot of really good people, and I like where I work. It's a great place. We have great benefits, and it's just a good place to work. But I can see a trend here that we are going to repeat. In 2008 was the last year that we got a 5% increase. Then in 2009, 10, 11, and 12, there was no pay increases. So now here we are again. In 2013, we had 2.5%, and then in 14, we had 3%, and in 15, we had 3%. 2016 and 2017, there was no increase. So we're going back to that same thing, and I saw the effect of that it causes compression. It causes people who have worked in roles in the same position, new people come in making the same amount. And people are training people, that are making the same pay. And if we could go back and would have fixed that having some pay increases to keep up with that, I don't think we'd be having so much turmoil right now. So the reason I want to speak is that I really would encourage you to find a way to make pay increases for all of your employees a priority. There was a day when I used to do the budget, and the first thing was the salaries that included pay increases. And somewhere along the line that changed to that we just calculate the budget, and if there's money left over, the people get a raise. Now, the police officers have done a fantastic job of uniting and getting a tax passed to support their same problem that we're having in the civilian world. They have compression, people paid at the same rate that have been there for 10 years. So my biggest concern is to encourage you to put the pay of employees as a priority. Find a funding stream. I know there's some ways you can do it, and I encourage you to listen to some of your financial advisors and find a way to keep it a priority. Otherwise, people lose confidence in the administration, and they turn to the idea of collective bargaining, which has worked successfully for the police.
That's 10
So
minutes, Mr.
we may have to go that direction. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Vito Salamone.
Good evening. My name is Vito Salamone, 7900 Forsyth Boulevard, St. Louis, Missouri, 63105. Thank you for the opportunity to address this esteemed council and gathering. My name is Vito Salamone. I joined the county police family over 40 years ago and have served under the administrations of Chief Kleinig, Battelle, Lee, Fitch, and now Chief John Belmar. I work in the Vehicle and Supply Unit as their supply contract administrator. The civilians of our unit provide procurement services and operational support for the function of every single office and employee of this department. Nearly every commodity, contract, or service required to do their jobs was provided or arranged for by the civilians of the Vehicle and Supply Unit. My purpose this evening is to call your attention to the essential role and plight of an often overlooked yet indispensable part of the county police family, the civilian employees. As every building needs a foundation, the pillars this department rests upon are its civilian professional support staff. To this end, I submit the following for your thoughtful consideration. In the Christmas classic, It's a Wonderful Life, George Bailey was allowed to see the world as it would be if he had never been born. But instead of one man, what if the contributions of 295 people were suddenly gone? Imagine a county police department without civilians. What if no support staff existed anywhere to support anything? In a world without civilians, there are no dispatchers, no clerks, no analysts, no programmers, no scientists, no specialists, no technicians, no aides. There are no contracts or services. There's no one to buy or pay for anything. No one to issue, process, manage, or maintain anything. Without civilians, there would be no cars with radios and sirens, no precincts with furniture, no computers, no guns, no bullets, no vest, no uniform, not even a badge. And ultimately, officers would get no paycheck and have no benefits. My point is simply this. Our department could not exist or function without its civilian members, period. Without the supporting pillars, the whole house caves in. On a similar note, when the widening stress fractures and crumbling substructure of the parking garage testified of a future collapse, the county wisely committed significant resources to avoid the unthinkable cost of inaction. The county is again faced with a similar crisis. The civilian foundation of this department is buckling under an unsustainable burden caused by years of lost wages and increased costs. We love and are committed to this department family, but our wives and our children are at home struggling under a correctable burden. I implore this wise council to use your powers of persuasion to influence the submission of a budget that includes the appropriation of the necessary Proposition P resources to fund a civilian pay matrix with the compression needed to properly redress, reverse, and repair the crumbling financial future of our Civilian Support Foundation and assure its strength into the future. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Tiffany Pike.
Good evening. My name is Tiffany Pike, and I'm employed with the St. Louis County Police Department. As I said last week, I've been employed with the department for over 9 years. I'm here once again to please ask you to consider the addition of the pay matrix to the police professional staff in the 2018 budget. Passing a pay matrix for our officers was a blessing, and I know it will make a great impact on the department's ability to retain experienced and qualified officers. The same would be true for the professional staff if a pay matrix were put into place. Our professional staff's on-the-job experience is very valuable, but also consider the amount of time and money that the county has invested in these employees' training. When I first started in records, it took me approximately 6 months to train, so I was able to work by myself. Initially, there were 2 positions in record room, assisting the public with their requests and assisting the patrol officers with their on the phones. Later, the private security office positions were added to the record room. This included security licensing and carrying concealed permits. This meant additional training, so employees were cross-trained to do all 3 areas. Now it takes almost a year to be fully trained in all 3 positions. In my current position as a travel coordinator, it's taken the 2 years I've been here to retain the numerous policies and procedures and programs that I use. An ever-growing department means more employees have required travel to get the necessary training for their positions. With additional officers and training being added to the budget, that means more work on various professional staff positions, most of which are staffed by 1 person. I'm in a unique position that allows me to see the amount of training that our professional staff require in order to be able to do their jobs and for our department to maintain their accreditations. I handle travel and training for professional staff from records, personnel, computer services, the academy, dispatch, emergency management, the crime lab, digital forensics, fingerprints, planning and analysis, crime analysis. Almost every area of our professional staff require additional training regularly. The travel and training I'm responsible for doesn't even include the training they receive at our police academy. While we are fortunate to have grants and other funding sources to help pay for some of this training, part of the funding does come from the county's general revenue. These are taxpayers' dollars being used to train our employees. A high turnover rate due to inadequate pay structure would lead to numerous tax dollars being squandered. There are some units that the registration alone for a required certification is thousands of dollars. It is our fiscal responsibility to ensure that this money that we invest in our employees stays with the county. The pay matrix that was submitted to the council on November 7th stated that it would cost approximately $2 million to implement. At the November 8th, 2017 budget meeting, the budget director confirmed that there were funds available from Prop P to implement this pay matrix. The 7% across the board raise that the chief requested would cost approximately $1.5 million. If $500,000 fixes the compression issues in the police department and the funds are available, why aren't we incorporating this into the budget? I'm asking you to please consider recommending this addition to the budget. This is necessary for the police department to maintain and retain
3 minutes, Mr. Chair.
our experienced professional staff personnel.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Anna Cashel.
Good evening. My name's Ann Cashel, and I live in St. Anne, Missouri. Good evening, County Executive and County Council. I'm here to speak about the animal shelter, and I'm here to speak as a concerned resident and animal advocate. I'm sure that many of you guys have pets that you consider your family and cherish, and I hope and pray that they never get lost because you don't want them ending up at our county animal shelter. In 2011, a fund was established by voters to fund the new animal shelter on Bower. I believe the voters have the right to know that the animals in your care are living in absolute squalor. The The general public and potential adopters should not have to hold their nose, literally, in the shelter, yet they are. Even as of last weekend, walking through to potentially adopt with their shirts over their nose because of the smell in there. There are currently 242 animals in the shelter. Volunteers are only allowed to interact with 104 of these animals, less than half. Filth is the word that I keep hearing from volunteers. I've heard it over and over, and different volunteers have used the same word, filth. There's poop in dog kennels, their litter boxes are overflowing. The urine smell in the cat room some days is absolutely repugnant. It'd knock you out. Dogs live in a 5x4 kennel or smaller for almost 24 hours a day. They don't get out enough. If they're lucky, and I do stress if they're lucky, they get outside of those walls one time a day. I'm asking each of you to look into this. The dogs, the cats, the taxpayers of St. Louis County deserve better. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next speaker is Christina Rawhauser.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Christina Rawhauser. I'm a civilian employee of the St. Louis County Police Department. I've been employed here for over 9 years, 4 years as a public safety dispatcher. In the last 5, I've considered myself blessed to be able to utilize my Bachelor's of Science as originally intended in the Police Crime Lab as a forensic chemist. In April, Prop P was passed to provide funds for public safety. I believe all civilian employees are deserving of more than the recommended 3%, and I've seen the members of this council show genuine concern. I am thankful to have this opportunity to explain the direct impact the Police Crime Lab has on public safety and why we deserve to have our proposed pay matrix considered in the 2018 budget. What does it mean to say that I'm a forensic scientist? I perform professional scientific work analyzing a wide variety of physical crime evidence to assist law enforcement officials in the investigation of crimes. I have been called to give expert witness testimony in municipal, county, and federal courtrooms. I and other forensic scientists collaborate with county crime scene detectives to teach courses at the Academy in crime scene handling and processing. The Police Crime Lab has a vital role of analyzing evidence for every municipality and federal agency in St. Louis County and surrounding regions. This even includes the routine submissions of fire debris, arson, and explosives evidence from St. Louis City and Nibin-Ibis evidence from St. Charles County. From January 1st to November 16th of this year, our lab has received 10,050 requests for service. 4,905 of those were submitted by St. Louis County. 5,145 were submitted from other local and federal agencies. Biology DNA has analyzed 1,543 items and has had 144 CODIS hits. Firearms and Tool Marks has completed 3,061 requests, as well as 260 investigative leads generated through Nibin-Ibis correlations. Chemistry has analyzed 4,664 items for controlled substances, 18 items for fire debris, and 27 items for explosives. Digital forensics, since its inception, has handled over 2,000 pieces of evidence, all while going through the rigorous process of gaining accreditation. We operate at a high level of quality in the Police Crime Lab. Our supervisors are faced with the hard task of inspiring employees to strive for the best with no hope of adequate compensation in sight. We choose this profession because we believe this is how we can best use our knowledge, skills, and ability to make our community, St. Louis County, better. We suffer major compression issues to include newly hired scientists in training, making much more than a scientist with 12 years' experience. In 2014, it was disheartening to learn that we were making 68% of the 2013 market average for our positions, and there was no plan to correct that. That is why we researched and began the collective bargaining process. We came up with a revised, sensible pay matrix, which was forwarded to you last week. That proposed pay matrix does not factor in 4 years of progressive cost of
That's 3
living
minutes,
increases
Mr. Chair.
and inflation, so it would still put us below today's market average. However, it is a viable pay matrix that is vital for the Police Crime Lab to keep positive morale and retain qualified scientists.
Thanks, Christina.
Next speaker is Kira Braxton.
Good evening. My name is Kira Braxton, and I've been with Justice Services for 9 years and 9 months. If it were not for a few across-the-board raises countywide and promotions, I would still be making $11.48 per hour after 9 years and 9 months of being with St. Louis County. We will never see the top of the pay ranges that we think that we're going to get when we're hired. Justice Services is a department of one and not some. Some of my coworkers, it's 60 of us who found out recently that we will only see possibly 3% from the Proposition P money. In regards to the Proposition P money allotted to Justice Services, it is not fair in how it has been distributed and has caused grave dissension in our already morale low department. I never worried because I believed all of the Justice Services employees would be treated equally and fairly. But I've recently learned again that 60 of the 348 employees will only get 3%, whereas the rest of the Justice Services staff will receive 10 to 22%. With the top members of our department receiving 16%, and they've been working with personnel to have their job classes moved from 113 to 117s to 115s to 119s in their job classes so that they can get the 16%, because some of them are already within their job range or nearing the top. How can any department leaders be satisfied with such inequality in their department? How can they be pleased with the low morale and dissension? Lobby clerks are the entryest level positions in our department. They've stopped weapons and drugs from entering our facilities. Our mailroom clerk has stopped drugs and weapons from entering our facilities, which if they had made it through would upset not only the safety of staff, but also inmates as well. A case manager was told recently, be glad that you're getting 3%. What that statement says is that the 60 employees that are only getting the 3% are deserving of just only that 3%. Please intervene and fight for those of us that were left out by our leadership in Justice Services. Again, we're a department of one, not some. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Adrian Washington.
Good evening. On behalf of the Security Services Unit, I thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. We are here to show our dedication and daily commitment to not only serving, but protecting you, the community of the county personnel and its visitors. Again, I thank you for your time. While some may know and others do not, our range of responsibilities within the corridor of the buildings in Clayton and as well as those in North and South County include a variety of service calls which are not limited to foot patrol, safety escorts, suspicious persons check, courtroom peace assistance, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, protest protection, and the scanning of a variety of packages and persons entering our buildings. The mindset of the men and women who proudly clothe themselves with this uniform stand on the front line with a willingness to serve and surrender their life when necessary for the safety of another. While we are not commissioned officers, our level of training paired with the expectation for us to respond in an emergent situation is the same as a commissioned officer. That is, to respond and to act. Should we dare stand in this uniform and foolishly choose to diminish our level of service or response in a need for action, would be a blatant display of insubordination. By doing so, we will put our families, our jobs, and our earnings at a tremendous risk for loss. Although you see us together today, this is our stance every day with one another and county officers, shoulder to shoulder, unified and demonstrating a willingness to serve the public regarding the protection and safety and well-being. Therefore, having presented to you a snapshot of our responsibilities, and as a St. Louis County Police Security Services Unit staff member, I ask for myself and my fellow officers for a monetary gain from Proposition P that is not unreasonable. We ask for a monetary compensation that demonstrates we respect and appreciate the service that you give. I respectfully ask that the current 3% elected be reconsidered and increased. We take not for granted our guaranteed employment as we appropriately adhere to performing and fulfilling these and other responsibilities made to us by our Chief of Staff. We ask that the provision of public safety, which is the funding of Proposition P, provided you by the men and women of security services, be not taken for granted. I close from the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 7, regarding each person's responsibility to governing authorities. Pay to all what is owed to them. Taxes to whom taxes are owed. Revenue to whom revenue is owed. Respect to whom respect is owed. Honor to whom honor is owed. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next speaker is John Fithian.
Good evening, Council. My name is Jonathan Fithian. I'm a security officer with St. Louis County Police Department, and I have 5 years of service within the department. In 2010, 2 years prior to my employment, St. Louis County security officers were armed. This increase in the liability of security officers came with no increase in compensation. Security officers are responsible not only for the Clayton complex, including this very building that we're in right now, but also 3 health clinics, a women's shelter, and an off-site government center. Some of these positions historically were staffed by police officers. Security officers are responsible for the safety and security of thousands of county employees and the general public in facilities where circumstances often cause people to be in highly charged emotional states. As we have seen since Ferguson, the county government center has and is often the target of protests and demonstrations. These are a few examples of how the duties as well as the personal liability of St. Louis County security officers has increased exponentially, but with no increase in compensation. We would respectfully ask the council to consider a fair and equitable level of compensation, not only in recognition of our increased duties and liability, but also to retain competent, experienced officers, as well as attract applicants who fulfill the required professional standards St. Louis County security officers represent. So with that being said, thank you for your time, Council. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Final speaker this evening is Aaron Evans.
It's a little bit different. Okay. My name's Erin Evans. I'm an employee with St. Louis County Police Department. Been employed since 2011. Been a security officer since 2012. Now, we're understanding about the Prop P money, okay? We as security feel that we fall under the umbrella of public safety. We are not asking for the same raise as police officers. We are not the same as them. However, we work with them. We provide public safety. I believe a question was asked, or it was stated that one of the council members didn't understand, or didn't realize how many security officers we actually have on staff. Currently, if I counted correctly, it's 43. That includes 2 locksmiths. We have that on staff. 24/7, we have posts. That being said, our security officers come from 5 different countries, other than the United States, speak 4 different languages other than English. Some have masters, some have bachelors. Our primary focus is to serve the citizens of St. Louis County. Security is responsible for a lot of things. The previous speakers came up with a couple of ideas. Our security desk, we monitor all the cameras. You see the cameras up here. We have one person watching that 24/7. Not only that, the secured doors that you need your cards, your name pops up every time you swipe your card. Not only that, we are responsible for 44 buildings with their alarms. Burglar, fire alarms, we get notified. We get called to keep the peace, diffuse disturbances. We also have to go on escorts, whether it's for employees who are feeling unsafe on the late night hours, getting escorted to the cars. It includes court-ordered escorts. We have individuals that come into the courthouses, and because of their behavior, threatening in nature,
whatever, the judges sign off on a mandatory order, that we have to be with them their whole duration on their visit. Not only that, we've done escorts for jurors. After they render a verdict, we have escorted them to their cars because they feel threatened, they feel unsafe because of the verdict that was rendered. All we are asking is that we are recognized underneath the umbrella of public safety. And if protecting people conducting their civic duty is not public safety, I do not know what is. With that being said, thank you for your time. Everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
No more speakers, Mr. Chair.
That concludes the public forum. Please proceed with the introduction of bills.
Bill number 314, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the budget for the general fund for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the general fund the sum of $350,719,206 to be placed to the credit of the respective departments, offices, boards, commissions, agencies, and funds of the St. Louis County government as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 315, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the budget for the Special Road and Bridge Fund for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Special Road and Bridge Fund the sum of $59,120,327 to be placed to the credit of the Department of Transportation as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 316, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the budget for the Health Fund for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Health Fund the sum of $58,607,299 to be placed to the credit of the Department of Public Health as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 317, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the budget for the Park Maintenance Fund for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Park Maintenance Fund the sum of $37,077,142 to be placed to the credit of the Department of Parks and Recreation as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 318, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the St. Louis County and Municipal Police Academy Fund budget for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart the sum of $757,276 from the unappropriated balance of the St. Louis County and Municipal Police Academy Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 319, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the assessment fund budget for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the assessment fund the sum of $13,823,078 to be placed to the credit of the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 320, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the sewer lateral fund budget for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the sewer lateral fund the sum of $3,027,418 to be placed to the credit of the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 321, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the Lambert East Perimeter TIF Fund budget for fiscal year 2018 and appropriating and setting apart the sum of $3,466,446 from the unappropriated balance of the Lambert East Perimeter TIF Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 322, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the Record Preservation Fund budget for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart the sum of $989,821 from the unappropriated balance of the Record Preservation Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 323, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the Police Air Support Program budget for fiscal year 2018 and appropriating and setting apart the sum of $700,000 from the unappropriated balance of the Police Air Support Program Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 324, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the Emergency Communications Fund budget for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Emergency Communications Fund the sum of $19,306,157 to be credited to the account as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 325, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the budget for the County Sheriff Revolving Fund fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the County Sheriff Revolving Fund the sum of $488,613 to be credited to the account as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 326, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adapting the North Point Fourth Subdivision NID Fund budget for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart the sum of $36,480 from the unappropriated balance of the North Point Forest Subdivision NID Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 327, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the Residential Energy Loan Program Fund budget for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart the sum of $213,008 from the unappropriated balance of the Residential Energy Loan Program Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget year for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 328, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the Children's Service Fund budget for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Children's Service Fund the sum of $47,540,254 to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 329, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the Cable TV Government Access Fund budget for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart the sum of $20,000 from the unappropriated balance of the Cable TV Government Access Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 330, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the Convention and Recreation Trust Fund budget for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart the sum of $10,262,025 from the unappropriated balance of the Convention and Recreation Trust Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 331, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the Water Service Line Fund budget for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Water Service Line Fund the sum of $3,841,706 to be placed to the credit of the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 332, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the Solid Waste Management Fund budget for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Solid Waste Management Fund the sum of $1,883,000 to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 333, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Debt Service Fund the sum of $7,726,407 for payment of interest, fees, and principal for maturity retirement of the public improvement bonds of St. Louis County, Missouri for the fiscal year 2018. Bill number 334, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the Spirit of St. Louis Airport Enterprise Fund budget for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Spirit of St. Louis Airport Enterprise Fund the sum of $23,264,306 to be placed to the credit of the accounts provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 335, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the Transportation Trust Fund budget for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Transportation Fund the sum of $6,000 to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 336, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the Public Mass Transit Fund budget for fiscal year 2018, appropriating and setting apart the sum of $43,113,500 from the unappropriated balance of the Public Mass Transit Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2018. Bill number 337, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance approving and adopting the Highway Capital Construction Program budget for fiscal year 2018 in the amount of $44,806,600, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Transportation Highway Fund the sum of $20,740,000, and further appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Federal Aid Urban Trust Fund the sum of $24,066,600 for support of the 2018 capital construction programs. Bill number 338, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance establishing tax rates to be levied on all real and tangible personal property in St. Louis County and on all other taxable property in St. Louis County for the General Fund, Special Road and Bridge Fund, Health Fund, Park Maintenance Fund, and the Debt Service Fund for the fiscal year 2018. The tax rates hereby established shall be permanent and shall continue in effect until superseded by a tax levy ordinance passed at such time as provided by law or reduced as necessary to comply with state law. Bill number 339, introduced by Councilmembers Tracus and Harder, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a contract BRDA Electric Incorporated for supply and installation of generators and associated equipment at 2 transportation district facilities. Bill number 340, introduced by Councilmember Harder, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a contract with Gold Farm LLC for management of the horse stables at Greensfelder Park. Bill number 341, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance calling and providing for the holding of an election in St. Louis County, Missouri on the third day of April 2018 for the purpose of submitting to the qualified voters of the Village of McKenzie Village, Missouri, a proposition for the disincorporation of the Village of McKenzie Village. Mr. Chair, that is all the bills.
Thank you.
Yoga breathing.
It's budget time. Perfection.
Bill number 296, introduced by Councilmember Page.
This bill is the lease for the soccer complex. I'm going to hold this for another week. I'd like to take a look at the lease, but I think we might be in a box here with this one. And so it will hold on the order of business.
Bill number 303, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
I move to perfect Bill number 303, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 303 is perfected.
Bill number 305, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
Please hold on the order of business.
Bill 305 is held.
Bill number 306, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect Bill number 306.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 306 is perfected.
Bill number 307, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
Please hold on the order of business.
Bill number 307 is held.
Bill number 308, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect Bill number 308.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 308 is perfected.
Bill number 309, introduced by Councilmember Page.
I'll move to perfect Bill number 309.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 309 is perfected.
Bill number 310, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect Bill number 310.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 310 is perfected.
Bill number 311, introduced by Councilmembers Wassinger and Tracus.
I move to perfect Bill number 311.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 311 is perfected.
Bill number 312, introduced by Councilmember Erby.
I move for perfection of Bill number 312.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 312 is perfected.
Bill number 313, introduced by Councilmembers Page, Wassinger, and Dolan. Mr. Chair, we have a substitute bill.
My substitute bill that I'm about to offer incorporates Councilwoman Erby's changes to Bill number 183 and adopts them within Bill number 313. I move for the adoption of substitute Bill number 1.
Mr. Chair, may I read the bill first?
Oh, sure.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 313, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance amending Title II, Chapter 204, St. Louis County Revised Ordinances 1974 as amended, the retirement plans by repealing sections 202.020, 204.070, 204.080, 204.090, 204.100, 204.110, 204.115, 204.120, 204.140, 204.152, 204.155, 204.160, 204.170, 204.180, 204.185, 204.190, 204.255, 204.270, 204.290, 204.460, and reenacting sections 204.020, 204.090, 204.100, 204.110, 204.115, 204.120, 204.140, 204.152, 204.155, 204.160, 204.170, 204.180, 204.185, 204.190, 204.255, 204.270, 204.290, and adding two new sections, 204.012 and 204.061 pertaining to the retirement plans.
Move for the adoption of substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 313.
Second.
I have a question about that. I was under the impression, I was led to believe we were gonna have a committee meeting to, give us prior or more information about, prosecuting attorney's pension. And to my recollection, we've never had that committee meeting. There was more information.
I think we've had a lot of committee meetings and hearings and information that's passed regarding that item.
Not pertaining to that specific portion of this, we haven't.
that specific portion that I'm adding in the sub has been discussed in previous committee hearings.
Well, I don't remember having anybody from the prosecuting attorney's office able to, they had more information pertaining to this, and I don't recall them being able, does anybody remember that presentation? I don't recall it. I mean, the prosecuting attorney we were told was gonna have the opportunity to explain the pay raise for that position. It's not for him personally, for that position of prosecuting attorney, and not the pay raise, the pension. And there was more information. I was led to believe we were gonna be told about it. I don't recall having that meeting.
We've had,
Meeting in addition to the one where Mr. Hessel appeared?
Correct. There was more information that was brought forward, and we were told we'd have the opportunity to have that explained to us and ask any questions. And it just, we've never had that meeting, to my knowledge.
yeah, I don't recall a commitment to have more hearings on this. I think we've had a lot of hearings on it, but if you want to have another hearing on it, we can certainly have another hearing on it, but I do believe we need to move this issue forward.
Well,
And I think that's
do
a consensus
recall
of the
that
council.
on at this council meeting, we were told that would happen. So I would request that we do have somebody from our prosecutor's office given the chance to respond to this.
I'll grant you a committee hearing, but I will have a call a vote on this tonight. Councilman Harder?
Yes, I guess I would also would like to see a little bit more information now that we're combining the two bills to make sure that we haven't missed anything and that that is what we intend this to be. I'd like to second that offer or motion about having a committee meeting on this before we pass it to final.
And I do agree with the bill that was presented to us in May regarding the pension, other than this section here, other than that, I was in favor of pension that was presented to us earlier, the changes.
Peter, what's the effect date of this substitute, or of this new pension bill? I know the bill that we received in May to pass had an effect date of July 1. I think this has an effect date that's next year.
Right, it was in either February 1 or March 1, effective date, to allow the necessary infrastructure put in by the pay plans and hiring rates and stuff.
And what's the effect date of the changes in 204-090 that was combined in this bill?
Well, it would be effective upon, upon passage of the bill, enactment of it.
And why is that effect date different than the effect date in this other part of the bill?
Because there was a specific effective date put in the other part of the bill.
Or it's that subsection? Okay. If you want to have a hearing next week on this, we can. I think we've talked a lot about it, but I think we'll go ahead and have a vote on the bill tonight. We have a motion to adopt substitute bill number 1 for bill number 313.
Second.
All in favor?
Mr. Chair, it was already seconded by Councilwoman Irby.
Okay. All in favor of substitute bill number 1 for of adoption of substitute bill?
I'm sorry, I was mistaken, that was.
Well, let's do it right.
Yeah, Councilwoman Irby seconded the motion. Yes, she did.
All in favor of adoption of substitute bill number 1 for bill number 313, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Substitute bill number 1 for bill number 313 is adopted. All in favor of, now I'll make a motion to perfect substitute bill number 1 for bill number 313.
Second.
All in favor of perfection of substitute bill number 1 for bill number 313, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Substitute bill number 1 for bill number 313 is perfected, and let's post a hearing on this for next Tuesday. We'll talk about the time. Okay. So, final passage.
Bill number 183, introduced by Councilmember Erby. Mr. Chair, we have a substitute bill.
Please read the substitute bill.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 183, introduced by Councilmember Erby, an ordinance amending Title II, Chapter 204, St. Louis County Revised Ordinances 1974, has amended the retirement plans by repealing and reenacting Section 204.090 pertaining to the same subject.
I move for adoption of substitute bill number 1 for bill number 183.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No, and I would request that we would have, that it's the same language, that we would cover that under the same committee meeting. I mean,
We
that's,
can talk about
thank you.
the same language, absolutely. Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 183 is adopted.
Mr. Chairman, point of order on this bill, if we have two bills that are somewhat identical, going through the same process.
Well, we can make a decision on final passage if we want to drop one of them, but they do have different issues in them, and I wanted to give folks the opportunity to go on the record on their votes.
Okay, I just want to bring that to your attention that there are.
As, in general, the bill that passes last and is enacted last supersedes the first one, but I understand your point.
Okay.
You want to move for perfect? Yeah, I would have to hold its place. We can't final pass tonight. Okay. 7.
Oh, almost.
We need 7.
Mr. Chair, you need unanimous consent of the council members to take the bill up for final passage.
Well, I can recognize that we don't have that, so we'll grant the hearing and move to the next item on final passage.
For substitute bill 1 for 183 is held now.
The substitute bill number 1 will be held on final passage. Substitute bill number 1 for bill number 3 for 183 will be held on final
Is it
passage.
held, or is it just because it didn't pass? Is it right?
Substitute bill is now the bill before us.
Yes.
The other bill isn't there anymore because we subbed it out. And because it's on final passage, we'll have to hold its place for a week because we subbed on final passage. We can't adopt on final passage without unanimous
I
consent.
understand that, but, so the substitute bill, to become a substitute, doesn't need all 7? Okay, thank you.
In order to final passage,
I
vote, we have to
understand
have
that
unanimous
part.
consent.
I get that,
Yeah, but it doesn't need 7 votes to get on
so-
final.
thanks.
Bill number 262, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
Please hold on the order of business.
Bill number 262 is held.
Bill number 289, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage, bill number 289.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, roll call. Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 289, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 289 is finally passed.
Bill number 290, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of bill number 290.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 290, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 290 is finally,
num-
it's finally passed.
Bill number 291, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of bill number 291.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 291, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 291 is finally passed.
Bill number 292, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of bill number 292.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 292, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 292 is finally passed.
Bill number 293, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
I move for final passage of bill 293.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 293, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 293 is finally passed.
Bill number 294, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of bill number 294.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 294, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 294 is finally passed.
Bill number 295, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Move for final passage of bill number 295, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 295, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 295 is finally passed.
Bill number 297, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Move for final passage of bill number 297, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 297, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 297 is finally passed.
Bill number 298, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of bill number 298.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 298, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 298 is finally passed.
Bill number 299, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of bill number 299.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 299, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 299 is finally passed.
Bill number 300, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of bill number 300.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 300, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 300 is finally passed.
Bill number 301, introduced by Councilmember Page. Mr. Chair, we have a substitute bill.
Please read the substitute.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 301, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a contract with Vision 33 Incorporated, doing business as Zedit Solutions for Acela Implementation Services.
Move for adoption of substitute bill number 1 for bill number 301.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Substitute bill number 1 for bill number 301 is adopted. I move for final passage of substitute bill number 1 for bill number 300.
Second.
And this requires unanimous consent.
The motion
301.
does.
So in order to consider this bill for final passage, so I move to, what's the right motion then?
Suspend.
I believe
Suspend the
it's on
rules?
your-
No, I don't have that. So I move to suspend the rules to consider
No.
bill
Well,
substitute.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, to interrupt, but it's not, it's actually invoking a rule. It's not a motion to suspend the
Okay.
rule. So the motion would be to take up substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 301 for final passage.
Okay. So the motion that I made requires 7 votes to take it up for final passage. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carries. I move for final passage of substitute bill number 1 for bill number 301.
Second.
Roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 301, there are 7 ayes.
Substitute bill number 1 for bill number 301 is finally passed.
Bill number 302, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Move for final passage of bill number 302, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 302, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 302 is finally passed.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 304, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
I move for final passage of substitute 1 for Bill 304.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby? Aye. Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 304, there are 7 ayes.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 304 is finally passed.
Moving on to resolutions, Mr. Chair, we have one this evening. Resolution number 1, introduced by Councilmember Erby.
I move for adoption of resolution number 1.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Abstain.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
I too need to abstain because I just received this and I haven't had a chance to digest it, so I'm going to have to abstain.
Mr. Chair, on resolution number 1, there are 5 ayes and 2 abstaining.
Resolution number 1 is adopted.
Moving on to unfinished business, Mr. Chair. Item number 1.
Hold on the order of business, same motion for item number 2, and that will be the order.
Item number 3, 1st, 2nd, and 7th districts.
I got
We're
it.
holding it.
I was contracting an amount not to exceed $1,054,721.03 be approved and awarded to Reinhold Electric Incorporated, the lowest responsive bidder, and authorization for revision to the existing traffic control devices be approved as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Can I just make one comment about that? I just want to thank Chairman for letting us do research into this, to take the time to check into some things, and I want to thank the County Councilor's Office for providing me information. This contract is, per nature of the contract, we, under our responsive bidder language in St. Louis County, wouldn't apply to this contract. Although it is a little disturbing, some of the problems we've uncovered with the contractor, and hopefully, we will stay on top of things and make sure that the contract is, performed correctly, but thank you for your consideration in this, and that's all I want to say.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I just want to state for the record, the contractor is a citizen in District 6, a good corporate citizen at that. The issues that have been referred to are years old now, have been corrected. This contractor has a long history of excellent work with the county and other entities, and so I think it's appropriate that we move forward with it. Thank you.
Well, we all saw the memo from the county councilor, and we were all disturbed to hear about prevailing wage violations in the past. I think we're limited in our ability to engage on that issue when they're more than 2 or 3 years old. And we've already approved a couple of contracts to this person in this year. But it is a complicated issue, and I, for one, am sensitive to prevailing wage complaints, and if we have any more from this contractor, it wouldn't be received favorably by the council. But I do recognize it's been several years. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Motion carries.
Item number 4, 6th district.
I request the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
And moving on to new business, Mr. Chair, we have 5 prepared orders this evening.
Okay, I move for adoption of order number 1. And number 2.
All in favor of adoption of orders number 1 and 2, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Orders 1 and 2 are adopted.
I move for adoption of order number 3. Order number 3 is addressing the fact that, that there's a holiday, posted next week, and so that the, order of business for the meeting of November 28th will be posted as accordingly.
All in favor of adoption of order number 3?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Order number 3 is adopted.
I move for adoption of orders number 4 and order number 4, separately. I don't have a 5.
Councilman Irby, what is order number 4?
You don't have it?
No, I don't have it in front of me.
Yes. Flowers in Finland.
Okay. Is that the one for Carmen Woods?
4 and
These
5 are
yeah.
the same issue.
Okay, so I'd like to move forward with, number 4 and not yet number 5.
And not 5.
Right.
Okay, so I move for adoption of order number 4.
Second.
All in favor of adoption of order number 4?
Aye.
Opposed? And I'll recognize you from motion to hold order number 5, I guess hold it on the
Yes.
order of business, so ordered.
Thank you.
I move to adjourn. It's been a long day.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.
I just
Long
gotta
meeting.
talk to